Okay, we will be starting now. Those who want the slides can scan the QR code to get the slides. Yeah. Okay, I guess everybody scanned, so I'll move on. So I'm Jaya. I'm a year 2 CS student, and I'm from NUS Hackers. Uh, uh, Today we have Pauline and Yat and Sai with us that will be helping out. If you guys got any questions or you stuck with anything, do reach out to them, because if you get stuck, then it's very hard to move on to the next section. Okay, one last time, anybody got any issues with Docker desktop or typing out the command Docker version on your terminal? Just raise up your hand so we can help you.
What did you say about the Docker?
Okay. Okay.
Just like on my what do I type? Docker.
So on your terminal, you type Docker version. Then you should get this output. If you guys got error or say anything says that Docker command not found, Docker daemon not available, raise up your hand. This is the command. Just can you use? The output should say server and client. There should be one server section and one client. So you should have both. Do you have trouble? Do you have issue? Okay. Okay, I'll get started. Anybody got any issues, just raise your hand. Yeah. Or you can just stop me halfway if you need to. Okay, so this is a prerequisite. Okay, so what we'll be covering today will be the basics of Docker, the terminology, Docker Hub, connecting volumes and network, and writing a Docker file, and then connecting containers with Docker Compose. What we won't cover is like advanced concepts, so it's like creating for different architecture, trying to reduce the Docker file size, Kubernetes, and multi-containers. We won't be touching any of these today. It's pretty basic. Okay, so what is Docker? So if you are to describe it in a single sentence, it's a piece of software that allows us to run application in an isolated environment known as container. So sounds simple, right? But there's a lot more things going beneath it. So as we go along, I hope that I'll be able to make you better understand what is Docker for and its purpose. So what do we need Docker? So let's consider you create a certain application, let it be in Python, Node.js, or any application that you want to run in a server, on a server. Well, or you want to work in a team, in a project, or what if you need to deploy it in multiple servers, right? So that's when you will use Docker. So think of Docker as like a box or package which encapsulate everything, your OS file system, your dependency, and the application itself. In other words, we will use Docker to write some configuration which will determine our environment in infrastructure, then we run the program in it. So before Docker, or before VMwares, right, we had, okay, I guess it's here. Why not use virtual machines, right? You can think of Docker as a cheaper version of virtual machines. So before virtual machines, each application can only run on one server. Then but you think about it, if you run it on a single server, one app, a server has a lot of computational power, and you just run a single app on it. Maybe it just utilizes 20% of the CPU. It's not worth it, right? You want to run a database, you want to run your application, you want to run a few more instances of your server, instances of application on your server, but you don't need to run on each one on a different server. So in order to do that, they came out with virtual machines where you virtualize the hardware so that you can run like different apps. So to further that, they came out with Docker they came out with containers. So virtual machines create different OS, guest OS to run on it, but Docker just uses a host OS and uses a layer using container engine. In this case, because we are using Docker, it will be Docker engine to connect with all the apps. Okay, so if you want, you can scan more to understand more on Docker or why Docker. If you want to scan, we will share the slides. Okay, so let's start with the first concept: images and containers. Okay, so Docker images is like a read-only template. So the example I'll give you is like a recipe. You can't modify the recipe once it's published. You don't actually make the cake with the recipe itself. So it's just an image, it's just a template, it's just a configuration. So it's like you take a snapshot of an application, and that is Docker image. Literally taking a snapshot of your application. You can think of it as Docker image. Docker container is running the instance of the image. So the example over here would be, you got the recipe, you run containers using the recipe to create the cake itself. So it's just following a sequence of steps. So that's Docker containers. So, okay, now is a good time to say that you have any issues with Docker version before you start running the commands. Anybody? Just raise up your hand. Okay, if everybody can run the Docker command, we will just move on to the next step. So how about everybody type this command out: Docker run hello world. Yeah. Wait. Trying to. Why can't I? Okay, anybody? Anybody cannot run this command or don't see any output generated? Okay, if not, I'll move on. Okay, so let's just simply dissect this code, right? So Docker is the command itself, which is just actually calling think of this command as a client. It's making requests to the server, in this case your Docker desktop, to create this. So basically calling this command is making a call to the server itself, which is Docker desktop in this case. So then we got the run command, which is a subset of the Docker command. It's a subcommand. So you got a lot of command: Docker compose, Docker build. So but for now, Docker command, which will actually run the image itself. So this command actually containerizes the image. So running this, right, actually is like saying that, okay, I got the recipe, now make me the cake. So this is basically the Docker run is making you the cake essentially. And then the hello world in this case is an image. So if you go to Docker Hub, right, if you're free, you can just go Google, you can look at hello world and you can see the image there. So okay, I think it's the next slide. Oh, it's not. Okay, so a bit more example. You can run this Docker command: Docker run it Ubuntu, and then okay, so Docker run. Okay, you guys can run this command. Better. Okay, so we previously dissected Docker and run, right? So what does IT means is basically say I want to run interactively. So if I were to not add IT, right, what this does is Docker run the Ubuntu image, and then the following is just saying run this command. So are you all familiar with this command, ls command? Okay, ls basically lists down whatever is in the directory. So for example, if I type ls, it's like listing down all my files in this Docker directory, right? So if I were to do it on docker run ubuntu, and if I were to just do ls, it will list down all the files in this directory. So so if I were to do IT, which means open an interactive terminal, which essentially just connects to the container itself. So okay, so now I'm actually in the container, so I can do like ls, or if I want to move in, change directory to bin and c. So this this is the IT command. So the I stands for interactive mode. Don't really need to know too much about the T, but basically when you do IT, it's basically running it's an interactive mode. And then the bin bash is saying which kind of terminal you want in your to run in your Docker container. Okay. I You can take your time, run different commands over here. Can run different versions of Python. You guys can give it a try. But if you're in this and you don't know how to exit, you can type exit and you're out. Or you can control C. Yeah, you can control C, yeah. Okay. I'll move on to the next slide. Anybody have any issues or questions? Can you just shoot it out? Oh, so far, maybe. Okay, if not, anybody? Oh yes.
Just now when you run Ubuntu, then you exit,
Yeah.
run again. Does
Yeah.
it make another container?
Sorry?
Does it make a new container for Ubuntu?
Oh, yes.
Then how do you?
How to use the same container back? Okay, so if you want to use it, okay, this is a great question. So okay, you see over okay, so let me repeat what he asked. So every time I run Docker run a few times, right? So each time I ran Docker run, it actually created a new container, and when I exited the container, it just turns it off. So if you absolutely not. Oh yeah, I can. Okay, so okay, wait, hold on. Don't copy this command. Okay. Okay, so if you see right, these very weird ass names like useful, Kepler, Quizler, Thirstima, all these weird names are actually created by Docker itself because I didn't explicitly name it. So it actually just ran the container and then it turned it off. So every time I run Docker run, because since I never name it, it just runs this new container up and down again. It just creates a new instance of the container. So you see there's a container ID. If I wanted to reuse the container, I can just use the container ID. But since I didn't, it just created a few instances of the Docker container. Okay? Does that answer your question? Okay. So when you first run Docker container, right? Do you guys realize that it said unable to look? Oh shit. It said unable to find an image locally. Do you guys actually receive this? Yeah. Okay. What it means is locally you don't have the image. So let's type this command in Docker images. I will have a bit more, but you guys should, if it's a new app, you only should have one. So okay, you guys should only see one if this is your first time using Docker. Okay. Oh yeah, you got Ubuntu. Yeah, you should have two images. You should have Hello World and Ubuntu. You have Python? Oh, yeah. Oh, you got three. Oh yeah. I mean, if you did the extra example, you should have three. Basically, once you install it locally, right, you will store these images in a shared folder in your file system, so that you don't have to always request a new image every single time. Uh, so if I install Python 3.8, once I install that version, I don't have to install Python. I don't have to download Python again. So if I were to run this, right, it doesn't pull anymore because I already have this image. Later on, you'll see that we have a few more different images. Every time you have an image that is not in your system, you will start pulling from this place called Docker Hub, which is the registry for Docker. I will explain more later, but yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, anybody got any question at this point in time? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so to view the containers you ran, you can do docker ps. Okay, but you guys should have nothing still running on, if I recall correctly, because most of your containers should have stopped. So docker ps only shows containers that are still running actively right now. So right now you should have none. So if you were to do docker ps a instead, which is short for all, you will get a bunch of it. Okay, I have more, but you guys should have 3 or 4, I guess. But these are all inactive containers, things you don't use it. You can also see all your containers in your Docker desktop over here. Yeah. Okay. So we have seen different modes to run Docker container. There is a few ways you can run Docker container. The default is without flag, which is just Docker run, the image name. Then I teach you guys about Docker run with interactive mode. So you can most of the time you use the interactive mode to debug. Yeah. And then another one is you run Docker run, but you detach it. So you can run it without actually always actively using the terminal. So, okay, there's a few commands here. How about give you guys 2 to 3 minutes to try typing all these commands. Then I will slowly explain. This is the biggest you can go. Quite big. Okay. Yeah, nobody copies all the. Yeah. Oh, anybody have any questions?
Do we have to type your name?
It's not, so that's the name of the container that's being posted.
Yeah.
So the Prakar 1989 is someone else who's hosting this container.
Oh,
Not his name.
That's not my name actually.
Yeah.
My name is you should write your own. Follow the name of this. So the name over here is actually the name of the person who has this image. So Prakar 1989 owns the static site image. So that's why you see that.
are we supposed to exit after posting the first one? Are we supposed to exit after posting the first one?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I can't put another comment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How about we just go through?
First, oh yeah, I have to exit, right?
Okay. Let's run the first command. Okay. So after you run this, you see that after you run this, it basically does nothing. Okay, there's two reasons to it. It's because in your computer there's a lot of ports exiting out. So what it does is it's just running, but it doesn't tell you what port to use. So without knowing, okay, think of ports as some way for your browser to connect to the port, so you can see the output of it, right? But since I'm not exposing anything, I'm just running the most default thing I can possibly do. Docker run static site. Okay, so if you all are doing, if you all are just here, exit out. To exit, you can just do Control C. Okay, then let's run the second one. Okay, the second one also essentially does the same thing, because if this were a file system like Ubuntu or Python, we could have written in some command, but it's just connected and just stuck there. So essentially, but interesting thing about this is you see the --rm. So what it does is once we exit, right, it will just remove the container itself. So if you were to look, right, I have one container running right now. Okay. Okay, so the moment I exit Control C, the container disappears. Like I don't have the container anymore. Okay, so let's run the last one. Alright. The last one is running Docker run with the argument option called -d, and then there's another option called P. Okay, I'll briefly explain what it is, but let's run the command first. Okay, so it ran and then it gave me a container ID. This is the container ID, which you can see over here. You get a container. It's like shortened version of it. Okay, so so if you were to do localhost 55,000, you guys should see this hello Docker. Anybody cannot see this? Okay, sure. My bad. Okay, this is the third command. Oh, okay. So when you run this, right, you see there's the first one with 55,001 or and colon 443, right? It won't. Most of yours shouldn't work. It's probably due to your firewall, because 443 is one of it's for HTTPS secure. So you should be able to connect to the 55,000 port. Okay, so I'll take this time to explain what this. Let me dissect this entire command, right? So we know Docker runs the image. Okay, what does the D do is it runs detached. So I don't always have to actively be on the terminal. to be able to run this. So I don't need to press Ctrl C or anything. So it just runs it detached. That's why it gives me the container ID. Then the dash capital P means whatever port that is available on my computer, just use the port. So the image itself is exposing 443 and 80, and the capital P says whatever port I can hook up to the container, just hook it up. So you guys probably have a different port, or you guys might have the same port as me, but yeah, so that's what the capital P means. Later on, I'll teach you guys how to specify the port you want, but the capital P means whatever port's available, just connect it to my container.
What does the D mean?
Detach. So if you run it without a D, right, okay, let me just show you guys.
It will run on the terminal.
Huh?
It will run on the terminal.
Yeah, you'll always be.
People are typing the comments.
Oh, my bad. The slash, you guys don't need to type the slash. That's just my comments. That is not part of the code. Yeah, my bad. Okay. Regarding to your question about the detach, right? So you remember when you run the first two commands, it was running something. It was just saying it's running. You were just stuck there. Yeah. If you were to Control C, right, you immediately exit and you won't see the site anymore. So detach just means you will just run it independently without the dependency of the container, of the terminal. Do you get it? Does it answer your question? Okay, great. Okay, anybody confused? You guys can ask a question so that maybe other people have the same questions in their mind. Or if you guys got any trouble, can just raise up your hand. Sai will help you guys. This one? Okay, this is for me to just give you an example of the RM command. So the first and the second output wise, it should look the same to you guys. So only the third one will actually let you connect to the browser. Okay? Okay. If you guys got no question or no trouble, or I'll move on to the next slide. Okay. Okay, you actually can check your port without the Docker desktop by just running docker port static site. Oh, by the way, you can name your site by dash name, then you name your site. I forgot to mention that. So this is basically naming instead of an arbitrary name given by the Docker desktop itself, you are actually specifying what's the name you want. Okay? Okay. Let's move on. Okay, now if you run docker ps, right? You guys should have a container running. Finally, you don't need to press the -a anymore. Now I teach you how to stop the container. So you just run docker stop, then copy the container ID. Then if you do a docker ps, you don't have the container anymore. By the way, the ID, copy the ID on your terminal. Don't copy this ID. Okay? Okay.
Where is the ID?
You see over here? Container ID. Yeah. Okay. After you guys manage to stop it, you can do docker ps. And okay, for visual, or docker ps -a, and then static. Okay. You guys can just do docker ps because I have a few existing containers. So in order to not confuse you guys, just run docker ps. Then you should see that it says exited. I exited the container 46 seconds ago. You guys should see something similar. And then I don't want this anymore, so let's just remove it, right? Docker remove, then copy back the same container. Then you remove then now you do a docker ps. and there's no more. It's gone. Okay, so you guys can. Okay, let me copy this. Okay. Okay, these are the commands. Give it a try. You guys got any issues? Can just raise up your hand. Sai will help you guys. Folder. So copy the ID from your, then paste it there. So it's docker stop the ID of your container. Or you can type your container name, in this case static site. You can do that also. Either you put your ID or you do the name of the container. So static site in this case. Yeah, this will stop it from running. Okay, let me docker stops the container, and docker remove the container from your file system. You need to run stop then remove. You can't run remove without the stop. Okay, you also can remove your image, which is, so if you do docker images, you should see a bunch of it. Oh, great. Okay. What was the image I was running just now? Oh, this guy. Oh my god. That's. Okay, so I have this image, right? So if I were to remove this image, so if I do docker image rmi, then the name of the image, I've deleted it and it's no more on my system. Okay, pretty simple command. Docker images image rmi remove image. Okay, easy to remember. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So this is to summarize all the commands I ran so far. Okay, anybody got any questions before we move on to the second concept? Okay, if now I'll move on to concept 2. Okay, so Docker Hub. Okay. Okay, so what's Docker Hub, right? So all the images, you might be wondering where is it coming from. So Docker Hub is a central registry that contains all these images. Of course, there's other registries like GitHub. There's AWS has their own registries. It depends on where you register. But whenever you do a Docker pull, it will pull from the registry. It will first look at the registry, followed by the organization or the user / the image. So just now you saw Prakar 1989, right? That is the user or the organization / the image name. Okay. So if I were to do like if I were to pull something from GitHub, I will probably have to append with GitHub / user / the image name. Okay. Okay, so this was, so there's like two main naming conventions, right? The official ones you just do official ones like Python, Ubuntu, Node and stuff like that. You get like just the name image itself. But community images, meaning images created by me, you, in the future you guys will create, or companies will probably have the username and the image tag, which I mentioned just now. Okay, so I want you guys to do this. Run each of these commands. Okay, wait, let me help you guys. Okay, run all three of these commands on your terminal, and then exit it. After you run it, you just exit the command. Okay, so let me. Sorry. You go to my repo. Appdevin. AppDevin. Then you see Docker slides repo. It's application development short form. Okay, so you guys should do this, and then you can do exit Okay, just do this for all three of them. After you do this, do a Docker images and tell me what's the difference you see after you run all 4 commands of it. Or also anybody lost or have any questions or stuck somewhere? Okay, yes.
Why do you write Python again at the end? Like, why do you repeat Python again?
Oh, so I want to run it. So just now remember when I do IT, right? Interactive, then I did /bin/bash. So right now what I'm saying is I want to run the Python command. So if you were to do, it's basically saying, this is my computer, right? It's me basically saying, I want to go into this computer and run Python. Okay, I don't have Python. So Python, I have an alias. So it's like doing Python, so like running this. Okay. You had a question? Oh, all good, all good, all good. Okay. Does it answer your question? Okay. Anybody manage to see what's the difference between all 3 images? Anybody got idea of? Oh, you guys look like you got an answer.
The size.
Oh yes, that's right. So. Okay, so it's the size of the images. So if you look, okay, it's pretty bad. Hey, thanks. Okay, so if you look at the size at the last column, right, is the slim is like 215 MB. The base version is 1.4 gigabyte, and then Alpine is like 76 MB, the smallest. Okay, so what it essentially means that when you do, I won't teach you guys this, but there's different versions of different types of images, and the reason being is for the base image you got all your developer dependencies, your terminal, all this stuff. You got everything that the OS have, the file system. You have all the access. But the Slim and Alpine will have a stripped version, so you don't have the developer tools. That's why it's smaller. And so usually for production, right, when you deploy, you won't usually use the base version. You probably use either Slim or Alpine, so you can deploy faster. But you can well, once you learn Docker files, right, from Docker files you can create different versions of this, but I won't teach you in this section. I think that's an advanced concept. Okay, so you can take a look at the image over here. So when you do Docker also have different architectures, right? So there's Linux AMD, Linux ARM, then you got your Windows kernel. So you got all these different architectures. So in order to support this, when you put in Docker Hub, it has all the different architectures stored in it. But when you do Docker pull, you only pull the architecture that's relevant to you. Okay, so if you have using Mac OS, you probably get the ARM, and if you're using like Linux, you probably get the AMD, and if you have Windows, you will get the Windows version of it. So yeah, you can specifically run a platform by doing -- platform. You guys don't need to do that, but it's just good for you to remember. Any question regarding this? If not, I'll move on. Okay, just some. Okay, wait, I made a mistake on the command, but you guys can try this out. Okay, you guys can just run this command. You can either play the snake game, or you can run the Star Wars. I think the snake game is fun. Oh yeah, okay, one of them figure it out. So this is like some fun stuff you can do with Docker images. So if you were to just use a code that was already on like GitHub or something, right? You have to install like all your dependencies, all the packages that needs to run the project. But with Docker image, with just this one line, you can like play some game, watch some Star Wars on your terminal. I'm pretty bad at this. Oh, come on. Yeah?
Someone has coded this.
Yeah, someone has coded this. So someone probably okay.
Someone coded the whole Star Wars.
Yeah, they did. They probably coded the whole Star Wars movie. It was not me, thank God. So if you just some fun commands, you can do docker inspect the image name or docker history to see like if you see look at docker history, you can see like this was built with just the terminal itself. Like it just he did it with shell scripting without Python, without any packages. Yeah, I think he also used Go. He used Go to do this. So you can take a look, try to figure out how he built it. Probably can't see the code, but you can. Oh yeah, you can see the code if you go to the GitHub or you can interactively. You can interactively. Remember I teach you the IT command. You can interactively enter and try to look at the scripts that you wrote. Yeah, but do it in your own time. Okay, let's move on. Okay, summary of the command. Okay, so to our third concept, volume and networks. Okay. Okay, so volumes is like, okay, so when you create a Docker, right, sometimes some of your images probably need volume. So imagine you have a database and you're running Docker. Now you store this data. So imagine I press Ctrl Z, then my database shut down. Then where does all the data go? Just goes away with the container. Cannot be right. Doesn't make sense. Correct. So that's why we have volume. So if you do -v, okay, so the command to attach a volume to your host machine is -v, the host directory, and then the Docker location, or the Docker container you want to call, Docker directory the program uses. Okay, let's give an example. Let's do this exercise. Okay, so if you use this, so if you see GHCR, right? Remember I told you guys Docker Hub isn't the only central registry. So this is the GitHub version of registry. This is where they store all their Docker images. So if you type this command, let you guys fill in the blanks. So it's like this, -v, the host directory, and then the location of the Docker directory location. So for this case, it's -downloads. So I give you one half of it. You guys can try to fill up the other half. So if you try running this, this image lets you download YouTube videos into your computer. Yeah, so you guys can try. I give you guys like 5 minutes, or no, maybe 3 minutes. Try doing it. If you guys stuck somewhere, you can just ask. You can raise your hand. So this is technically the answer. So it's like you need to use the -v to attach tell how to attach the image, the container to your host machine. So you already know the second half. The Docker directory is going to be dash. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so you have to fill up the what's the files what's the folder you want to connect to this. So it's like now I'm connected to the Docker's download, right? What how should the container connect to my host machine? So what's the file I want to connect to? So you can create a new folder. You can create a you can use the existing folder, up to you. Can you do it? I'll just type it myself. Okay, for those of you who didn't manage to do it, let me just do it right now. So let me create a new folder. Okay. So I can do. Yeah, I need to put the whole path. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I got it. Oh shit. No, I didn't. Why did this run? Yeah, hold up. I'm pretty sure the answer is yeah. No, of course not. Okay. Okay, this is the command. So no, that's a it's a folder on my computer. Yeah. So okay, so I think I have a YouTube video. Okay. So this is the image that I was running. Okay, so if I were to look into this, that's not. I hope so. I mean, you can definitely download. Okay, so if you see, I downloaded the Docker in 100 seconds, right? If I have the video on my local machine. So you can do that by doing this, running this command. So this should be your absolute path. Then this is the Docker directory in your container. Can I try it? Sorry?
What do we write for the path?
The absolute path, so it should be tilde slash. Okay, where do you create a folder?
No. What is the path for the download?
Dash downloads. Slash downloads. Okay, any issues or questions? Yes. What's the question? Connected to your machine, right? You can download whatever information onto your machine. You still have the volume on your machine. So if I were to do like Control Z, delete a container on my local machine. No, you're not information on your information still stays. You want some information to run, it's stored in your system as a back. I think should soon. Wait, let's see what do I have left. Yeah, break time soon. Okay, let's move on. So let's do. So remember I said dash capital P is whatever ports available to me, I just use it. So if I want to specify the port, right, I can do, as you can see, I did dash P, then I did 8081 and 8081. Okay, what does this mean? So the first half before the colon is the host port. So my computer, my MacBook port. So I want it to when I do localhost colon 8081, that's the port I'm using. It's connecting to the port on my system. So where does the port on my system connects to? That's the containers port, which is being exposed is 8081. So if I were to rename it, so let's, for the sake of trying out, right, let's rename to 78. Okay, and I've okay, so if I were to run with 78, right? Okay. So you look at my port number is 8078. So the first half of the colon is to change the port that I want to expose to my the one I want to use on my local system. Okay, the second half, you can't change it because it's by the image itself. So if the image only exposes 80, 81, you only can connect to that port. You can't connect to any other port. So usually you can do Docker history, image name to see what is being exposed, or you can do Docker inspect to figure out the ports that's being exposed. But if you create your own image, you probably know what you are exposing. Alright? Okay.
How do I open the link?
So if you guys realize I deleted my container just now, right? So you see I still have my video available now, even though I didn't download after I created. So it's still using the volume from my system. So that's the benefit of connecting to a actual volume instead of just using the Docker's volume. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's skip the exercise. Okay, let's take a break. This is the monkey type image. So if you're interested, you can just run this and you can run monkey type locally on your system. Typing test. How fast you can know your words per minute. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so now we have been talking a lot about Docker images, right? You're probably wondering, I want to create my own image, and that's how Docker file. That's the concept number 4, writing your own Docker file. So what if? Okay, that's basically okay. So how to create your own Docker file? So let's not copy this. I'll type it out for you guys. Okay, so. Okay. Okay. So in order to create a Docker file, right? There's a few steps. Okay. So you want to know what kind of file you're running. So in this case, I'm going to run a Python file, right? So I'll use I use a base image. So when you do from says that what is the base image? What do I want to use? And then build on top of it. Think of it like a layer, okay? So you have a few layers when you are creating this. So the first layer is the base image. So in this case, I'll be using Python version 3. So I do from Python 3. Okay. Okay. So that says the first layer. Now the second layer is what I want to run. So I want to install certain dependencies. So if it was Node, right, you'll probably do run npm install, but after you move your package.json. But in this case, I will be doing pip3 install these two dependencies. One is for API request and another, absolutely no idea. Alright, so the next one is I want to copy something over. So now I have the program on my directory. I want to copy this docker demo.py file into my root directory in my container. Okay, so I do copy docker demo.py, then my root directory. So that's the third layer. Okay, so then for the last one, this is just saying how do I want to start up. This is basically the command. So what this command is essentially saying, run python 3 docker demo.py, which you can do it locally, but for this case, I'm just trying to show how to create a Docker image. So if I were to, let me just copy this. Okay. So if I were to do Docker build and Docker. Okay, so it should have 3 layers. you should see. Okay, so you see there's 3 layers. 3 layers. Okay, so all this from, run, copy, all of this is considered a layer. Okay, just a bit. So Docker has caching. So in order not to always run each of these layer, right? If you only make a change in that layer, you only run that layer and anything below it. So if I were to do a change to docker.demo file, right, my first and second layer will probably be cached, and you will just skip past that and only run copy docker demo. That's the only layer will run. So this is a way of Docker making it efficient. Okay. Okay. So that's the Docker build file. Okay. So I got the Docker. So when I did Docker demo build -t, right? T is essentially saying it's tagging the file name. So this is what's going to be my image name. That's -t. Okay. So if I do Docker images, grep demo. So I got this demo created like about a minute ago. But okay, see, this is ridiculous, like 1.65 GB. So if you choose a smaller base image like Python Slim or Alpine, it's probably lesser. So that's why we got different images. Okay, so now I can do Docker run demo. This is just counting 1 to 5, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's just a basic program. Okay. Don't need to copy any of this. This is what we will be doing together. Okay. So probably you guys want to open up your favorite text editor, VS Code, Cursor if you have. Well, Vim. Anybody want to open Vim also can. Okay. So we'll be. Okay. Oh, my bad. Okay. So what we're trying to do is we want to run this Flask application. You guys can go download this first. This file. hacker.cc/docker.zip -zip. Do y'all see the file name? Yeah. Download the file and unzip it. I'll give you guys about 1 minute. Anybody have trouble accessing the link? No, asking them to download the Docker file. Docker zip folder. Yeah, I did. Anybody have trouble downloading the zip? Anybody still typing the URL? Okay, while you guys type this, let me explain what we'll be doing. So we know this is a Flask application. It's a web development framework. So what this does is we know we need to create an image that requires Python. We know we need to install all the dependencies. We need to expose 500. Okay, and then we need to run the application itself, which is Python 3 app.py. So these are the 4 things we need. This is our instruction. So it's like our recipe, right? Like, okay. If you all have downloaded, I'll move on to the next slide. Anybody still typing the link? You need this for like the next few slides. Okay. If not, okay, I'll move on. I haven't downloaded anything. Okay. I assume it's smooth. No, nothing to do with none of this. Okay. So let's do the first step. Go into the folder. Okay. Then create a new file, create a Docker file. The naming must be correct. So Docker, capital D and file. Okay. Then open up your favorite text editor. Okay. So what do we need? What's the first step? So we know we need Python. So we do from Python 3. Okay. So that's the first one. So that's going to be our base image. So what's the next one we need? We need to run this Python command pip3. So we do run. We do this. Okay, so what? Okay, so for those who are not familiar with Python, this is basically saying install some dependencies from my requirements.txt file. So in the requirements.txt file, there's a bunch of application that Python needs, and it's going to run it. So it's just going to recursively run this all the dependencies that it needs. So that's basically it. Okay. Okay, before we can do this, right, you guys should wonder where is the requirements file, right? Okay, how can I just run it, right? You can't do that. So what you need to do is you need to copy over all the file in your Flask application. You copy over into your into your root directory in your Docker. So once you copy over, so what does this copy over means, right? You are in the Flask app. I'm going to copy every single file in the Flask app. There's Docker ignore, so you ignore all the dependent actual packages. So you move over everything into this directory. Okay. So after we move over, we want to specify our working directory. So this is where we will be. After we do working directory /app. So this will be our main. This from here on we will be working on this folder. So we do the run command. Okay. So after we done that, yeah, like give you guys a few seconds to type. Anybody got questions so far? Okay. Okay, so now the third step. Okay, we want to expose port 5000. So that's pretty much very simple. Expose 5000. Alright. Then to the last one, it will be you can do entry. You can either do entry point. You can do entry point. Then Python 3 app.py. Okay, you can do this, or you can just do command Python 3 app.py. Okay, so if once you run this, you can do docker build Flask. Okay, so building. Okay, while it builds, okay, this is the full command. For those who feel still doing typing, you can just copy this.
So whatever we typed out is supposed to be the text file, right?
Yeah.
Then the text file, where do we put the text file?
It should be inside your Flask app. After you unzip, you got the Flask app folder, right? The Docker file should be inside it, because you're going to copy everything inside the folder into your container. Yeah. Anybody stuck somewhere, or anybody have a question regarding this, or anybody manage to create an image? Do Docker images and see if you got this image on your system. Yeah. Copy dot slash. Oh wait. No, you should do copy dot slash app because you want to move whatever items you have into your app folder. But if you were to do slash, then your working directory should be just slash. In this case, you might as well don't type the working directory. By default, it's slash. Yeah. Or if you guys want, you can use another port. You can use whatever port that is not protected. So just do anything above 3000. Okay. I think for those of you who didn't manage to create an image, right? Okay. After you created, or for those who actually created the image, what you can do is do docker run detach whatever port flask, the name, you can name whatever you want, flask app, and then whatever flask app, so I'll use that image. So once I do that, yeah. Okay, you got if you run docker run and then the image, you should see this. A bit over engineered for a GIF, but hey, just for fun. Okay, with interest of time, I'm going to move on, even though you guys, some of you are stuck not creating the images. Maybe later, if you're interested, can stay back. Then we will try to help you guys. Okay, so let's look at the last concept, Docker Compose. So you see this whole S line, right? Docker run, the name, all the environmental variables, then the port, then what's the image? It's a long list of things to remember. And every time you run a container, you don't want to do Docker run, do this every single time. Typing a lot of things to remember to type. Imagine you forget one environmental variable, it's going to be troublesome, right? So in order to avoid this problem, Docker has this cool feature called Docker Compose. So okay, so you guys can create Docker Compose.yaml. Okay. Okay. Let me just break down Docker Compose into three steps. So Docker Compose has three sections. Okay, so the first one is the version. So version is most likely going to stay at 3 for a while. I think it's at 3.9, but if you use 3, you'll use the latest version. So this is just all the versions that Docker has created. So usually it's going to be 3, so nothing to change there. So then we have services. This is the most important bit of Docker Compose. This will tell you what are the different services to run. So previously when we do Docker run, right, we're only running one container. When you do in Docker Compose, when you do Docker Compose up, you're going to run 3 to 4 containers or 5 all at the same time. So you can, in a bit advanced concept, you can make it communicate with itself instead. But which I won't go through today. And then the last one, the volume. So this you can say what are the volumes you want to. Do you want to create a new volume? Most of the time it's optional. You don't really need to create a volume. But for this section, I'm creating a volume. Okay, so let me break down the most important section, right, is the images. So each item under the service, so if you see, right, this Docker Compose has 2 services running at the same time. One is ES, which is short for Elasticsearch, and another one which is the web. Don't copy any of this, it probably doesn't work. Clearly there's an image called your name. So another one is called web. So it's running these 2 services at a time. So under each you can specify the image you want to use. So this says for this service use this image followed by the command you want it to run. So if in your Docker file, right, you had some command running, this will actually override it. So your entry point or your command in your Docker image will get overwritten by this command. Then you can specify your environmental variable. If it's most like this is most likely going to be like your database URL, the port, database port, the username, etc. Whatever environmental variable the application needs, and then the port you're going to use. So this is basically you doing Docker run -p the ports. So you can specify here, followed by the volume. These are the volumes that you want. So -v, right, that I went through with you. This is the replacement in Docker Compose. And then followed by depends on. So this says which image I should run first. Sorry, which container I should run first. So in this case, web won't run until Elasticsearch is being run. Okay. So this is actually the last exercise. You actually have to convert this into a Docker Compose. Okay. But I know the session is supposed to end at 8:30, so I'm going to script it. You can look at the slides. Okay. But if those of you are interested, this is actually the command, and you guys can try doing it. Yeah. And then if you guys got any issues, you can raise up your hand. So after you run this command, all you need to do is do Docker Compose up, and then you get all your containers running. Yeah. Okay, so in order to help it make it faster, those who want to scan the slides, you can scan now, so you can copy the code. Okay. Okay, so there's this command called docker system prune, which whatever that's not being used. Okay, Docker takes up a lot of space. Running an image, each image is probably like 1 GB, and running a container is going to take up storage. So you can do a docker system prune, which will delete everything that's not being used or not actively being used. Or you can do a specific one, you can do Docker images prune and stuff. Yeah. So I think that's it for Docker. You're welcome to stay and ask some questions. Yeah.